At precisely 0 to 30 hours on December 20th, 2020-5, DVNKh Air Base in occupied Crimea erupted in coordinated detonations that fundamentally altered the strategic calculus of the Black Sea theater. In exactly 14 seconds, two fully combat-loaded Russian Sukhoi 20-7 flanker air superiority fighters were completely destroyed, representing $70 million of frontline interceptor capability reduced to smoldering wreckage. This was not an opportunistic strike. This was a deliberate operational message. Ukraine had just demonstrated that Russian control over Crimean airspace was no longer guaranteed, and that the peninsula's air defense network could be systematically dismantled through precision drone warfare. The operational timeline begins at 20-3:15 hours on December 17, 2020-5. At DVNKh Air Base, Russian air defense operators were monitoring radar screens displaying no airborne contacts. Their confidence was understandable. The facility was protected by the S-400 Triumph surface-to-minus air missile system, widely regarded as one of the most capable long-range air defense platforms in operational service, with engagement ranges exceeding 250 kilometers. 80 miles north, 12 Ukrainian Beaver decoy and manned aerial vehicles were climbing to operational altitude. Each unit costs approximately $15,000, constructed from fiberglass with basic propulsion systems. They carry no explosive payloads and fly at subsonic speeds. But attached to their airframes are Lundberg lens radar reflectors, specialized devices that amplify radar cross-minus section by orders of magnitude, to sophisticated phase-array radar systems. These simple reflectors make a small unmanned vehicle appear identical to a heavy strategic bomber. At 20-3:40-2 hours, Russian air defense radar operators at DVNKh observed their screens suddenly illuminate with 12 large high-value targets approaching from Ukrainian territory. Inside the mobile command vehicle, the assessment was immediate massive coordinated air raid inbound. The duty officer transmitted engagement authorization. The Pantsir S-1 to short-range air defense system swiveled its turret, achieving target lock. A 50-7-A-6 surface-to air missile launched at Mach 3 velocity, trailing white exhaust through the darkness. Then a second launch, then a third. For 4 minutes, the night sky transformed into a shooting gallery. Russian crews celebrated as radar contacts disappeared sequentially. They believed they were successfully repelling a North Atlantic Treaty Organization-style saturation attack. The fundamental problem: they were expending $500,000 interceptor missiles to destroy $15,000 decoy targets. The cost-exchange ratio was catastrophically unfavorable, like attempting to eliminate mosquitoes by throwing gold bullion at them. And while Pantsir crews congratulated themselves uncritically, waited for automated loading systems to cycle fresh missiles, the actual strike package arrived. Trailing 5 minutes behind the decoy wave, maintaining terrain masking flight at 50 feet above ground level, were 6 Security Service of Ukraine Alpha Foxtrot to kamikaze and manned combat aerial vehicles. Unit cost approximately $70-5,000 each. But unlike decoys, each carry 220 pounds of thermobaric explosive compound for hard target penetration. The operational genius extended beyond simple deception. These platforms were not utilizing global positioning system navigation. Russian electronic warfare assets were broadcasting jamming signals across all standard frequency bands. The Foxtrot-Papa- platforms were completely unaffected. They employed optical terminal guidance navigation utilizing artificial intelligence-driven image recognition. Their onboard computers compared real-time visual input against pre-loaded satellite imagery. They were not listening for signals. They were looking for physical terrain features. At 20-3:50-1 hours, the lead Foxtrot-Papa- decrested the ridgeline. Its forward-looking infrared camera acquired the first priority target, the Nebo-SV early warning radar. This $100 million very high-frequency detection system, specifically engineered to detect stealth aircraft, showed its diesel generators radiating intense heat signatures on thermal imaging. The drone entered terminal dive. The Russian electronic warfare officer attempted jamming, maximizing broadcasting power. But you cannot jam an optical camera. The impact was a complete functional deletion. 220 pounds of high explosive detonated within the antenna array. The blast wave shredded $1 million emitter components. The primary detection asset covering the southern sector went offline instantly. Seconds later, the second Foxtrot-Papa-2 impacted the Gravestone fire control radar, the guidance brain providing targeting data for S-400 launches. Without this system, those massive vertical launch tubes became expensive non-functional cylinders. The Russians fought desperately. As the third and fourth Foxtrot-Papa-2 units banked inbound, the Pantsir S-1 crew, veteran operators who recognized the Beaver platforms as bait, switched to manual optical tracking. The turret rotated rapidly. Twin 30mm automatic cannons commenced firing at 5,000 rounds per minute, creating a literal wall of tungsten ammunition. Foxtrot-Papa-2 flew directly into that defensive curtain. It disintegrated in midair before achieving target proximity. Simultaneously, a Russian soldier manning perimeter defense achieved infrared lock minus on against Foxtrot-Papa-5 with his Verbaman- portable air defense system. The missile launched. Exceptional shot under extreme pressure. The warhead detonated 3 feet from the drone's tail, sending it into an uncontrolled spin terminating in a muddy field. Moscow had scored to confirm kills. They believed they had reversed momentum. The critical flaw they'd forgotten about Units 3 and 6. While the Pantsir crew celebrated, Foxtrot-Papa-3 approached from the blind sector, maintaining ground-effect flight at 10 feet above tarmac. The Pantsir attempted to traverse its guns. Insufficient time. The drone impacted the ammunition storage compartment. Remaining missiles experienced catastrophic cook-off, transforming the air defense system into a spectacular fireball illuminating 3 miles of runway. Unit number 6, with defensive coverage eliminated, locked its thermal camera onto a massive heat signature on the taxiway. Target identified Mikoyan-Skorovich 30-1 Foxhound interceptor. This 90,000-pound monster capable of Mach to point 8 was stationary, engines spooling. Internal tanks containing over 30-5,000 pounds of jet propellant. A flying fuel depot awaiting ignition. A Russian airfield security squad spotted the drone's silhouette against runway lighting. They engaged with AK-12 assault rifles and PKM machine guns. Green tracers stitched the air, tearing penetrations in its left wing. It was absorbing damage, wobbling unstably. However, the Ukrainian operator understood intercept geometry perfectly. He did not chase the aircraft from behind, which would be suicidal as supersonic jet exhaust would shred a lightweight drone. Instead, he executed an advanced tactical maneuver, banking hard left, cutting across the grass infield to intercept a Mikoyan-Skorovich at 40-5 degrees. He was cutting corners while the massive interceptor was constrained to the fixed taxiway. The Russian sergeant recognized the tactical trap. The drone was flanking the aircraft, using the Mikoyan-Skorovich's fuselage as protective cover. The soldiers continued firing. Their bullets would impact their own $60 million aircraft. He screamed cease-fire orders. The gunfire stopped. For 3 agonizing seconds, Russians could only watch, paralyzed by fear of destroying their own pilot. Unit 6 entered terminal dive, targeting the giant intake aperture of the left engine. The 220-pound warhead was ingested into the propulsion system. High-speed turbine blades swallowed the drone and explosive payload instantly. But the warhead was not the primary kill mechanism. It was the fuel. The detonation ignited 40,000 pounds of aviation kerosene instantaneously. The explosion generated such intense luminosity it triggered automatic shut-off of street lighting in Sevastopol. The pilot had no time to reach the ejection handle. One moment $60 million interceptor. Next moment smoking crater. Moscow's official report claimed 13 drones, shot down 11 decoys into actual threats. Technically accurate. Reality revealed catastrophically different results. By 00:05 hours, the tactical scoreboard read Ukraine 5 confirmed kills, Russia 2. The DVNKh air defense network was functionally blind, its fastest interceptor burning wreckage. Ukraine was just beginning. For 40-8 hours, operational silence descended. No combat patrols launched. No radar systems activated. Inside the command bunker, atmosphere was frantic. Moscow promised replacement T-400 components, but logistics in combat zones present nightmares. The replacement radar stalled on freight trains near Kerch Strait Bridge. The new Pantsir was delayed by partisan forces sabotaging railway infrastructure in occupied Kherson. The base commander improvised with inadequate resources. He stripped soldiers from support duties, distributing IGL and Verbaman- portable systems. He established visual observation posts, personnel with binoculars on rooftops in December wind. He ordered ZU-20-3- anti-aircraft guns from the 19-60s dragged from storages and bagged around aircraft shelters. They were attempting to repair catastrophic damage with insufficient solutions. At 0200 hours on December 20th, 2 days after initial strike, the base remained on maximum alert. 10 miles out over the Black Sea, 10 new contacts appeared, 3 additional Beaver decoys. Trailing them, 7 upgraded Foxtrot-Papa- to platforms. These were not identical to Tuesday's package. Ukrainian engineers had modified fuel formulation to burn at reduced temperature and applied specialized coatings to exhaust components. To thermal imaging, these platforms were functionally invisible ghosts. At 0 to 20-5 hours, the sound began. A low, rhythmic thrumming vibration, resembling 1,000 angry lawnmowers through pitch-black sky. 6 xenon searchlights activated, stabbing white beams into cloud cover. ZU-20-3- to guns open fire. Red tracer lines crisscrossed the sky, projecting a steel curtain into darkness. 1 Beaver decoy flew into a 20-3mm shell, bursting into fiberglass splinters. Russian gunners cheered, believing this was target practice. However, at the perimeter fence, a Russian soldier shouldered his IGL-A-S launcher, a top-D or infrared-homing missile specifically designed to hunt heat signatures. He heard the Foxtrot-Papa- buzzing overhead. He aimed. He waited for lock- on tone. Silence. He pressed UNCH. Nothing. The seeker spun desperately, searching for thermal signatures. But Ukrainian engineers had executed a masterstroke. The Foxtrot-Papa- piston engine was small, shrouded, operating in freezing December air. To the infrared seeker, the drone was virtually identical temperature to ambient night sky, like attempting to lock onto an ice cube in a blizzard. I cannot get a tone. No luck, he screamed, dumping the useless launcher and grabbing his AK-12, firing blindly into darkness, tracers sparking harmlessly. While infantry panic fired at shadows, Foxtrot-Papa- to Ghost 1 located its mark. Its artificial intelligence vision identified revetment 4. Inside sat a Sukhoi 20-7 flanker, a $30-5 million air superiority fighter fully loaded with 12 air- air missiles. The drone of at 120 miles per hour. A ZU-20-3 gunner spotted it at the final second, swinging his barrel. Tracers tore concrete inches behind the tail. He missed by a fraction. The drone threaded the needle, flying into the shelter entrance. The warhead detonated. The blast ruptured the Sukhoi 20-7's fuel tanks and triggered its Er-70-3 missiles. The entire concrete shelter transformed into a cannon barrel aimed backwards. Orange flame shot 300 feet out, carrying titanium airframe pieces and avionics. 1 flanker eliminated. The explosion blinded Russian night vision. On the taxiway 500 yards east, a second Sukhoi 20-7 was active, engines turning. The pilot, witnessing revetment first fireball, understood he was a stationary target. He advanced throttle, attempting to taxi to runway and achieve takeoff where he would have fighting chance. He was racing Foxtrot-Papa- to Ghost 2. The drone operator, observing jet acceleration, banked hard right. G-forces maxed airframe limits. The pilot jammed throttles to full afterburner. 2 AL-30-1-F engines erupted blue flame, attempting to push 30 tons down the taxiway. A drag race between $30-5 million jet and $70-5,000 plastic. High Russian heavy machine gunner on Tiger armored vehicle opened fire. 12.7mm rounds chewed tarmac between drone and jet. 1 round clipped the landing strut. The drone wobbled, dipped, appeared destined to crash. But digital flight control compensated instantly. The drone leveled 6 feet off deck, now flying in jet-wash turbulence. The pilot screamed over radio for covering fire. But the drone was in his blind spot, positioned behind tail fins. Impact. The drone slammed into the dorsal spine between engine nacelles. The explosion broke the fighter's structural backbone instantly. Fuselage buckled. Nose section slammed concrete, sparks showering. Fuel tanks ruptured and momentum carried burning wreckage skidding 200 yards, leaving a liquid fire trail. Double kill. In 3 minutes, 2 of Russia's deadliest fighters, $70 million of hardware, deleted from operational inventory. Gunfire diminished. Only sound remaining crackling jet fuel and distant fading buzz of remaining drones circling overhead, searching for additional targets. As sunrise approached over DVNKh on December 20th, smoke columns still rose. But the most damaging element for Vladimir Putin was not smoke. It was silence. The supposedly unsinkable aircraft carrier of Crimea had been reduced to an expensive parking lot for burnt metal. Let us calculate the economic ledger. This was not merely a raid. This was a liquidation sale. Over 3 days, Ukraine expended perhaps $1 million on unmanned aerial vehicles. In exchange, they eliminated two radar systems worth $160 million, a Pantsir system worth $15 million, one Main-Durovich 30-1, and to Sukhoi 20-7's worth combined $130 million. Nearly $500 million of losses for $1 million expenditure. Return on investment 50,000%. No hedge fund on the planet achieves those numbers. But dollar figures are merely surface damage. The real impact is strategic. With DVNKh paralyzed and radar coverage blind, the Russian Black Sea Fleet has lost its air umbrella protection. They cannot patrol the grain corridor. They cannot intercept Storm Shadow cruise missiles. They are exposed. The Kremlin spins this as technical accident during standard procedures. However, high-definition footage from drones' cameras is flooding Telegram and Twitter. The myth of impenetrable Crimean air defense has been shattered permanently. Every Russian pilot walking to his aircraft this morning is looking over his shoulder, wondering if a $70,000-$5,000 piece of plastic is waiting in darkness. This brings us to the fundamental lesson. Ronald Reagan did not defeat the Soviet Union by outshooting them militarily. He defeated them by outspending them economically. He forced them into an economic race they could not win. Ukraine is executing the exact same strategy with superior intelligence. They're using $10,000 drones to force Russia to expend million-dollar missiles. It is asymmetric warfare at its absolute finest. Russia will achieve economic bankruptcy attempting to swat these flies long before Ukraine exhausts its supply of plastic and electronics. The operational question facing Moscow: will they strip frontline positions to protect their jets, or leave Crimea exposed to save their trenches? Either choice represents strategic failure. That is the definition of checkmate in military terms. The DVNKh operation demonstrates that expensive platforms do not guarantee victory. Intelligence, planning, and economic efficiency defeat raw firepower. Ukraine has taught the world's military planners a lesson they will study for decades. Welcome to the future of warfare, where commercially available technology can eliminate more enemy assets than entire fighter squadrons. The calculus has changed forever.